So, in the last video, we had set up our calculations and we figured out what our expected value of our distribution was. And so now, and we also set up the beginning of our pivot table. So now we're going to use the pivot table to kind of take a look at the chances that certain things will happen. So what I want to do is I do want to look at profit. So I'm going to click that on. I'm actually going to drag profit over into the rows because I want to see what my profit levels are going to be. Now, as you look at this, you see there are only two numbers down for profit, 0 and 375. In this case, because we have the discrete distribution, there's only so many different answers that can pop up between the revenue, the cost, and the refunds. And so for 150, I believe that's where we're at. Yeah, for 150 orders, we're only going to have 0 or 375. And so then what I want to do on the other side is I want to count how many are there. What our percentage chance that each of these are happening are. So how are we going to do that? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab profit again, and I'm going to drag it down here into the summation field. So it always defaults as sum of profit. We don't want sum of profit. We want to count how many instances of that profit end up happening. So we're going to go to value field settings, and this is where we can play around with it. And instead of sum, we're going to call it count. And so if we just do that, it's going to count the instances we have. So we have 104, 0 profit, 896 out of the total of 1,000. So from there, let us change this though. Instead of doing count of profit, go to value field setting, we'll go show value as, and instead of a calculation, we'll want percentage of the grand total. So there's 1,000, it'll give us our percentage. So percentage of the grand total. And also let's change the name. Instead of count of profit, let's call it frequency, because that's what we're measuring. And there we go. So we've end up going, okay, here's our row labels, here's our frequency, and in fact, let's change the row labels here, and let's give that a different name. So up here, instead of row labels, let's call that profit. Okay, so we have our profit. We only have 2 for 15. 10% of the chance we'll make nothing. 89% chance that we'll make $375. So we can see that's off this one here, which was at a time one of the lower profits, but you can see it's bouncing around because it is an average. So what I want to do now, because I want to keep track of these, I want to look at them, and since they're going to constantly change, I want to make sure that we have what we want there. So what I'm going to do is Q equals 150, because this is how many calendars that we're going to order. I'm going to make that bold. And what I'm going to do is I want to copy all of this stuff over, but I don't want to copy the formulas because I want this to stay because this is going to change and we don't want that to change. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to go paste numbers, paste values. Now that doesn't look as nice as this over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and I'm going to paste the formatting on top of it. So now these are individual numbers. These will never change in regards to the calculations. So we can come back and check this. So I'm going to just come over here. I'm going to merge and center that. And then I want to do the same thing here because I do want to hold on to my little thing here. I'm going to go copy. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to paste values. I'm going to do the same thing I did before. Paste values. And then right on top of that, I'm going to paste the formatting. So it's got that nice pretty formatting that we've already had there. Okay. Now, the whole reason I'm doing this is I want to compare the 175 and the 200. So let's Control C, Control V, Control V. I'm going to change this to 175, and I'm going to change this to 200 because I want to sit here and be able to compare them. Okay, so now that's all in there. Let's go over here. Let's change our order quantity to 175. So now we will simulate it with a 175 order quantity. And we can see that this stuff here has changed. And this is not reflecting what we had there anymore, mostly because things have changed. So we're going to have to actually completely redo this, so that's fine. We'll delete that, and we're going to do it again. So we're going to insert and a pivot table. I'm going to pick the same range of numbers. And hit OK. It should drop it in the same place. Drop it right there. Not a create a pivot table. You must use data that's organized. Oh, it didn't work because I did not grab the titles here. That is my fault. You got to have those names in there. It's not going to know what things are. Hit OK. There we go. Now it built our pivot table for us. And we'll do the same thing. I'm not sure why. Typically Excel would have updated that, but maybe it wants me to show it to you again. So we're going to draw a profit in there. We'll draw a profit into the sum column. We'll go to value field settings. We're going to rename that frequency. We're going to show it as a count. Show, and I changed it up there. Show values as no calculation. We want percentage of grand total. Now we'll change it to frequency. We'll hit OK. That gives us the percentages, and then the row labels here we'll call profit. And I'm just going to do the same thing. We're going to copy this data over. And I did not mean to do it like that. We want to paste values, and then on top of that paste formatting. And then do the same thing for this one here. Copy, paste values, paste formatting. Okay, and so now let's change this to 200 so we can grab that one. And so once again, this isn't working because usually this updates. I'm wondering if it's because I changed the profit, but that's okay. We'll get a third time of doing it just to make sure that we really know what we're doing. So we're going to select our table, once again, making sure to grab the names. We'll just drag this down, get all the columns, have it drop it in the existing spot. We'll run back up here, and then just quickly do the same thing. Profit, move sum of profit over here, and then we will go value field settings. We want to show them as a count, and we want to do the calculation, the grand total. Change this to frequency, and then hit OK, and there we go. So we'll do our last copy and paste, and then we'll talk about the data. So copy, paste the values, paste the formatting, and then we'll do the same thing here. Copy, paste our values, and then right on top of that we'll paste our formatting. All right, so we have our three, and these are the three that we identified as the best profits. So now, if we go and look at this, we can see a little bit more data about what's going on. So right off the bat, we can see that with our Q is equal to 150, we're going to be making a profit about 90% of the time. And there's a 10% chance that we'll make no profit at all. So as Q, as our order quantity increases, we can look at it, our top end earnings increase. But also our bottom end risk also increases. And as you can see, that our standard deviation is going up as we order more. And that's to account for that we've got this wider bottom to top spread. And then once again, if we increase it even more, we go to Q is 200, we can see our standard deviation goes up even more. And we are looking at, we have a 65% chance of making $500. But we have a 10% chance of losing $250. So this is the kind of data that you can use, and you can look at it. Where is your risk tolerance? Where do you want to order? Because if I look at it, once again, if I want to ensure that I lose no money, 150 is the way to go. At 150, your worst chance is to make nothing. If you want the biggest chance to make the most money you can have, well, obviously you're going to go 200 because you have a 65% chance of making $500. But then you also have a 10% chance of losing $250. And so it really comes down to, like I said, what you're trying to risk. If you take the middle path there, you have roughly a 90% chance of making at least $250. But you still have a 10% chance of losing things. So based on this discrete model, this is how we would go about taking a look at things and figuring out where our order quantity is going to be. So you're probably thinking, sitting there right now going, okay, well, you didn't give me a straight answer. What's the order quantity? Once again, it's going to come down to the specific situations. If you're in a situation that you absolutely do not want to lose or cannot lose money, you're going to order 150 calendars. There's no way that you're going to lose money. If you want to try to make more money, you're going to go 175 or 200 and play the odds. But once again, once you get to this point, here's the analysis. You can present the analysis. You can give your recommendation based on it. And with that, that is how we would do a simulation using a discrete distribution. So in the next video, we're going to talk about how we would do it with a uniform distribution.